Hey guys, it's Ellipsis here. So with one more video about Star Wars, potentially where the story is going to go, and I have a new theory out there that I'd like to put out for you guys to consider. I like to do a lot of analytics and analysis of data and text. So I took the script for Star Wars: The Force Awakens, and I actually put it through some statistical analysis to do some relational analysis to understand kind of how certain topics and ideas kind of correlate or happen at the same time with characters. What if the story is not about a particular character? The story is about the Force being awakened. What is interesting is the title of the movie, Star Wars: The Force Awakens. The word awakening shows up only once in the entire text, and that's about, I don't know, maybe like close to halfway through the movie. And what's interesting is when you start talking about awakening, the mentioning of the Force starts happening more and more and more. And what is interesting is that when this happens, we actually see that the storyline for both Rey and Finn actually slows down. The story leading up to the end was all about Finn. It was not about Rey. It was all about the rescue. Rey only comes in at the end towards the fight. It's kind of like raising the awareness of her prevalence of the character. This is the mentioning of the Force and how often it happens afterwards. So if I add Rey, you see how her story slows down. This is when the Force, the awakening, was mentioned. You see how her story slows down, only to come back at the end. And if you look at Finn, a similar story, you see how his story slows down, but it maintains a steady pace, except towards the end it slows down, and that's kind of what when the battle with Rey and everything comes up. So my theory, as crazy as it may be, is that potentially Star Wars is not necessarily about any of these two characters. It's probably a combination of them, and it's probably a combination of the awakening that's been happening over all of the Force, and these two are mainly just a conduit for it. So um, the events that led up to the awakening, that's the part that I'll be interested in asking what happened and why did it happen and who's been awakened. We know that the events leading up to it, we were following the storyline of Rey and Finn, but you see the moment that happened, they started splitting, having their own storylines, and then they kind of crisscross towards the end. So again, it's kind of difficult to determine who the story is really about. I know a lot of people are talking about Rey, particularly having looked at this information. I don't think it is about Rey. I think it's probably a little bit more towards Finn. But again, considering the idea of the awakening, it doesn't look like either one of them are strong candidates for be the ones that have been awakened. So with that, I leave it up to you guys. Decide whether you like this idea or not, and leave a comment. Thanks.